Come here, little plug.
Stay inside.
Joseph Kelly and Kevcat Martinez. Hey, boys.
Hello, I feel like a Tuscan Raider right now. Oh, I can hear myself 100% in my headphones.
Well, I'll work on that. Let's see what we can
Okay.
do. KK, what's going on?
Yeah, not much.
Can you hear yourself?
For Pride.
What?
I got new lights for Pride.
It sounds like it's echoing pretty hardcore over here for KevCat too. Well, let's figure this out. And while we do that, ooh, I sound a little bit better. KevCat talk. KevCat talk, speak.
Hello.
Okay, that's better. Okay.
That's so weird because I didn't change anything.
So
Anyway, welcome to the show, everyone.
I can't wait until we're back into the studio.
Oh my
it's gonna
God!
be so
Neither
nice.
can I. Neither can I. And I just realized we're not live on the radio stream. God damn it.
Oh, it's okay.
Maybe that's a good thing right now.
I mean, you're not wrong per se. So, guys, how's the last 2 weeks been? Kevcat, I haven't seen you in 3 weeks. What's going on?
Oh, I got a new job. Been trying to make it to protests and stuff. I do stuff. I am a human who exists and does things, but the thing is, whenever people ask me about it, not a fucking clue. I've been doing a lot more research about the history of this country and stuff, and it's very horrifying, and that's great. It's been putting me in a great mood.
It's a little light reading.
Oh yeah, certainly. Because if you do that, then you're just ready to burn down the government. And what other mood is there really to have?
I feel like that is the prevailing mood at the current present time. I can't even speak. This is going real well.
I mean, Atlanta's on fire, so.
I mean, it'd probably be faster to talk about the places that aren't on fire at this point.
True. My house is currently not ablaze, but if Ramblewood keeps up the shit, then we'll.
I mean, so during our last show, you were actually at the protest in Denver. What was that like?
So it was great. Like, the only thing was it was a little confusing because people kept setting off fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that was like because they wanted to celebrate or if they were trying to get something started. But other than that, it was like, it stayed really peaceful. It was dope. Everyone was like totally operating off of mutual aid. of like all the protesters.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many stands set up for water and food and supplies and anti-tear gas supplies, and like I was walking around. I like to take a lot of pictures all the time and videos of everything that I do, but I was like extra careful not to get people's faces in them, and I always got consent before I took a picture.
Mm-hmm.
And like, several times people were like, "Yo, thanks for that." So I just like want to use this as a time to remind you: don't put protest faces in any videos or pictures you're taking if you're going to post them online. People are going missing, and it puts them at risk.
I saw something about that the other day. One of the like private chat apps. I think it's either Signal or what's the other one? Got it. Or Telegram. They're actually making a little app that automatically blurs out faces in photos, so that they can't be tracked and identified and used against people. So that's really, really cool. That stuff's coming out.
That's fucking dope. That's necessary. Because have you seen like there was a woman that was driving home with her kid in the backseat, and she got ripped from her car and arrested. She was just driving home because she was spotted at the protest several times. And someone posted a video of her at the protest, and the police arrested her and were like pretty fucking not great about it.
For just driving by the protest?
No, for driving home. She wasn't even near, like, I don't think she was even near the protest, but they recognized her and they arrested her for being at the protest because there were videos and pictures of her.
God, that's ridiculous, man.
Two black men are dead. Like, I think they were hung. Yeah, lynched.
Yeah, there have been 2 lynchings in the last like week and a half
in Southern California.
Yeah, it's funny. I was on a phone call or a video chat with my friend earlier today, and I said, you know, the fact that like lynchings are still happening in 2020 is a fucking, you know, national disgrace. And he's like, wait, where did that happen? Somewhere in the Bible Belt? And I was like, Southern California, dude. And it just like it blew his fucking mind. But there is a glimmer of hope on the horizon, right? Today, the Supreme Court announced a very surprising decision that LGBT QIA people could not be discriminated on the basis of their gender identity or sexual orientation, which I didn't expect that in a million years, considering that 45 has stacked the Supreme Court with his handpicked people who tend to veer way on the conservative side of things. How did that news land with you guys?
Well, I mean,
oh my God. Sorry, hold on.
Charles is Xboxing while we're on the show.
He's denying it. We know it's
lies. It's all lies.
I am downloading Kingdom Hearts 1.5, 2.5, and a commercial for Doom Eternal popped up.
Okay, yeah, I totally understand. I get it. Honestly, like, it's what should happen anyway. A friend of mine, who's actually in the living room, and I were just talking about this, and they mentioned that we don't know if this is going to turn into, like, they're going to actually write shit to really reform it, or if they're just going to, just leave it the way it is now. Sorry for lack of lighting. One moment, there we are.
That's okay. We're just in, like, rave mode. I got to get my glow sticks.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure. What about you, Charles?
It doesn't really. I mean, like, yes, I am very excited for my fellow LGBTQIA plus members because, like, everybody is like super dope, but it's one of those things that, like, these kinds of decisions don't really affect me personally, right? So, like, I have to, because I'm, straight passing, cis white male, right? It's a lot.
Straight passing.
That's a term I haven't heard before, but
I get called straight passing more than I get called bisexual by people. So, which is shitty on its own right. We'll bypass that. But besides from that, right? Like, these kinds of things like don't really affect me, and like, so like, it's one of those things where I kind of stay out of these conversations because it's not. Like, I'm not, a trans individual. This doesn't really like affect me too much, right? Like, I still, what? Plasma, right? Those are. Can you guys hear me okay still?
Yeah, we can hear you. You froze for a second.
Okay. But
Our friend Robin is in the chat, and Robin says, "I passed for straight too, Charles."
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things where like it doesn't affect me, but I'm like right there with people, and I'm so excited for the people that this does affect. But that doesn't change the fact that just days before there was an executive order that like destroyed LGBTQIA plus rights from the president, who has. What did he say? Something like the gays love Trump. Hold up a queer flag. From this schmuck, and I am
being charitable.
Right. Yeah, and it's one of those things like I am so excited for people to be validated, but like on top of that, bigger things happened this week that really like pushed it to the side with the executive order that got passed.
Yeah.
So like there's a lot of emotions here, and I still haven't like processed it all. Like, yeah, awesome. It's good to know that like the judges that are currently in, for the most part, are still willing to follow the law and what the law specifically states. And with a 6-3, vote there. So like a majority of people thought, yes, queer rights are important rights. And I'm like, yes, awesome. That is great to see, but it still doesn't change the fact that this administration is pulling some really scary shit when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community. And I want people to know that like, we shouldn't celebrate just yet.
Yeah, that's the important thing to remember is like, yes, this is a good thing, but we have a really low bar right now for what we consider a good thing. Like, a good thing is when like someone doesn't die needlessly due to the color of their skin. Right. The fight still continues. There's still a lot of, we have to see how this law or how this decision is going to affect state laws. And even how it affects the executive order. Because I don't fully understand how executive orders work, but my loose understanding, and feel free to correct me in the comments, is that a president can issue an executive order recognizing or repealing basically anything they want to, but it's not the same as making it federal law.
Right.
So, I mean, there's a delineation there that is important, and I don't fully understand what the delineation is, so maybe someone will explain it. But yeah, it's not like, ooh, hooray, like we're done, like the fight is over. It's not even close to that. Robin is saying Kat and Charles have an echo, so we'll see what we can do to fix that.
Right.
Isn't my politics like I'm against
That's just kind of where Hold on. I think my internet connection's cutting out a little bit. You guys keep talking. I'll be right back.
Kevcat, you were saying?
Yes.
What were you saying?
I'm still here.
What were you saying?
That's most of politicians anyway, though.
Oh,
as
true.
soon as they're like proven wrong. Like I was watching, I don't know if you've seen it. I still haven't finished it, but I was watching 13th, which is that documentary on Netflix about the 13th Amendment and the struggle of Black people in America.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight for equal rights that has never ended. But there was like a video of Hillary Clinton, of Bill Clinton, like making these really fucked up statements, like super passionately though, like we have to increase this war on crime, knowing damn well that it's not about crime, it's about the 13th Amendment that allows them to use slavery, like use people who are convicted of crimes basically for slavery in prisons.
Mm-hmm.
And the easiest and fastest way to make sure that they can still have all that shit was to promote those. I'm being super vague because I'm not trying to sound like I know everything, but
well, no, you're right. There has been one of the things that this current movement and George Floyd's death and everything else has brought to light is the fact that, like, for a lot of the American consciousness, they were under the impression that slavery was no longer a thing. So there is more slavery in the world today than there was 400 years ago.
Especially in America.
Especially in America. Like there are tons of huge Fortune 500 companies that use prison labor, and that is depending on the state, depending on the prison, they have a broad definition of whether it's forced or not. But the fact of it is, like, they don't really have a choice. Like when you're a prisoner, like your rights are essentially taken away from you. And a lot of them are forced labor, and that's awful. So it's, you know, it's waking people up to the idea that, or to the fact that, like, slavery is still a very real thing, not only in this country but around the world. And
Right.
the fact that we're having more conversations about that is a good thing.
Right. I would like to talk about that because I've experience on that front when it comes to that world
Mm-hmm.
of working for the government for free, right? And what is the craziest thing, right? Especially here in Colorado. So Colorado has like a bunch of different options, right? So like when you have jail, you have a few different options. You can take jail time, or there's an option called work enders, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And work enders allows you to spend the weekends at the jail and work jobs around the district, right? So around Larimer County.
Mm-hmm.
And the teams are hired out. So this is these businesses are paying the government for this labor. So the government is making the money off of these individuals. And a lot of the time it's schools, it's like private businesses, and it's like other government projects. So yeah, 100%. It's a big issue. Like I understand, right, from like one thing, like doing your time. If you do something shitty, you should pay your dues, like fucking help out the community and like go through this.
Mm-hmm.
Like fucking make up for the terrible shitty decisions that you've made, right? 100%. I was in that boat. I made some shitty decisions. I paid for that. I moved on, and we're here. I could talk a lot about, my white privilege on that front where, getting a felony when I was 19, right? And getting off basically scot-free because I am a, decently attractive white dude, right? Like that's just the nature of the business. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have, friends who were in jail for much less than myself, right? And were in jail for much longer than myself, and we're in that world
Because they happen to be the wrong skin color.
Right, exactly. And I mean, like, so, like, I have, like experience with that. That's besides the point. But, it's a very important part just to remind people, like, it does exist. Mm-hmm. I have experience with that, too. But, like, when it comes to, like, the work enders and, like, the prison system, these people are, like, the government is charging for this work, and these people are not making any money off of it.
We have a couple things in the chat. Want to say hi to our friend Mariah from the Artist Project, who is here. The Artist Project is streaming 100 days in a row over on their Twitch channel, and they've got some really cool stuff going on. I particularly am a fan of Mariah's poetry streams. Robin also wants to know, Charles, so you can't vote?
No, I can. No, that's a huge misconception, especially here in Colorado. You have to know your laws, but as a felon, you can vote 100%. If you have a criminal past, yes, you can vote. Like, there is a huge misinformation campaign put out there by both parties. It is a very consistent thing from, like, the entire government. Like, it's a government conspiracy. Honestly, like, I feel like it's a big issue, but they tell you you're a felon, you can't vote. Mm-hmm. I thought for a long time I can't vote. You 100% can in the state of Colorado. I think that there's some stipulations along that line. Like for instance,
it might depend on severity.
No. As long as you have like for sure, once you're done with probation, you can vote. 100%. So as long as you're like done with things, you can vote.
Right.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, as long as you're not in jail, you can vote. And even then in the state of Colorado, you can still vote while you are in jail, if I'm not mistaken. I'll have to do some more research on this, but like, people can vote, but they're told not to because they're bad people. Right? You're a bad person.
And because people, I mean, in all honesty, and granted, there's blood on everyone's hands, but, you know, people who are incarcerated or have been incarcerated and have been subject to the U.S. prison system are more likely to vote for candidates that are looking at changing how those laws are enforced. We've got a new viewer watching us on Periscope, Lawrence Cruz, who said SCOTUS threw Trump right under the bus and then backed up over him today. I mean, yeah. What's interesting about that is the Supreme Court is essentially immune from recourse, right? They're lifetime appointments. They can't, they can voluntarily leave the bench, but that's really the only way that it happens, or, you know, they die. So they can't really be touched by the Trump administration. So, you know, we talked earlier about how, like, yes, it's a victory, but it's a very small one and we need to keep going. But, you know, I try not to engage in schadenfreude, but I kind of had to a little bit today when 45's own appointees turned against him. Mariah also says, y'all are great. I totally agree with what you're all saying. And an interesting thing too about the workender thing, I know this is true for Larimer County in Colorado. I don't know how it is for other areas, but in Larimer County, they also have what's called a community corrections program. And the big difference between community corrections and workenders is that with community corrections, you basically have a it's like a little boarding house that you're in, but you also work out in the community. The double-edged sword of that is that you have to pay for your room and board, and you rack up tons and tons of money that you end up owing to the Larimer County Sheriff's Department before you're allowed to get out, even after you have served your sentence. So if you get a disposition and you have served your sentence and everything else is good and you don't have any behavior issues, but you still owe them money, they keep you in community corrections until that is paid. On top of that, once you end up in that situation, they still keep accruing billing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, forget the fact that you're like convicted of a crime and serving time for that, but you're now also guilty of the crime of not making enough money and are therefore going to stay in jail and stay owing the government money until you can manage to claw yourself out. So it's like you're trying to climb out of quicksand, but your arms are tied behind your back.
From experience, do you want to know how I escaped from that? Like the reason why I'm not still like indebted to the government.
You moved 2 towns over and changed your name?
Yes, that's good reference.
Charles.
Yeah. No, it's actually because my mom died and I got some money off of that and I paid things off. That was the only way that like I was able to like get away from that. And that is terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's ridiculously horrible. Just being, guilty of the crime of being poor.
Right, exactly. And like the fact that like the expectations are that like, especially when it comes to work enders, right? The expectations are that you find a full-time job. You have to be working full-time.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible to
at
find
a place that
job.
knows you're a felon and is willing to take you anyway.
And is willing to do a 9-to-5 shift Monday through Friday, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So like you have to have like a job that's full-time, that's basically like a Monday through Friday job. The places that hire felons are restaurants, right? Like restaurants for the most part are the places that hire felons.
And call centers.
Call centers, yeah, call centers too. With that too, those jobs a lot of the time are weekend night jobs. You cannot pull those kind of jobs and also do any kind of corrections, like in-house corrections kind of a thing. You can't make it work unless you have something prior that you were working with, like a job that you had previously that was already 9 to 5. And if you're in that kind of a boat and they were willing to keep you on after your conviction, or you were able to hide it from them enough to like, not have it be a big deal when you get out, that is such a rare occurrence. It doesn't exist. That's a fucking unicorn right there. That shit does not exist. So, okay. I have it pulled up. I want to go over the rights in Colorado here for people with convictions.
Okay.
So, number 1, in Colorado, it is illegal to register to vote or cast a vote while serving a sentence of incarceration or detention for a felony conviction. So that means if you're a felon in jail, you cannot vote. Once you are out of jail, you 100% can if you're on probation. I am currently on parole for a felony conviction. Can I vote? Yes, 100%. As a felon, you can vote. So that is no longer a sentence of incarceration while you're, but that's semantics. I still think that you're incarcerated while you're on parole or probation, but that's besides the point. Do I have the right to vote if I'm in jail awaiting trial or serving a sentence for a misdemeanor? 100% yes. Yes. Either of these situations, you still can and should vote. 100%. If anybody is telling you otherwise, that is against the law and that is breaking your rights there. So what else? In Colorado, once everything's done, you can vote. So let's see. You do not have to pay off any of your restitution to vote in Colorado. And that's about it. That's the laws there. It is very simple. You can vote, and you fucking should. You should vote. It is very important for you to vote.
November, yeah, and it may feel differently right now, but November is right around the corner, folks. And if you're one of those people who's like, I'm not a voter because I don't really pay attention to the issues. Okay, well, while you're stuck at home, not fucking doing anything, not going to movies, not going to sporting events, turn your brain on and learn what the hell's going on, and then go vote. I don't care. I'm not saying vote for so-and-so or don't vote for so-and-so. Get out and vote. Be part of the process, because if you're not, you have zero room to complain if after the election someone gets elected that you don't want.
Get educated, make a decision, make your voice heard, do something. Don't get me wrong, I know, like, it's easy to feel like it doesn't matter because people tell you that constantly, and it's like, but that also feels like it's a trick. It's a way to get you to try and...
It's a way to suppress your vote. And we're not even talking about, like, one of the more egregious examples of that is voter ID laws, which disproportionately affects people of color who may not have a driver's license for whatever reason, and they're, you know, not allowed to vote in several states where they have already made that a law. It's about taking away your right as a citizen of the United States to vote. And if you have any say, don't let that happen.
I love the projection done by Republicans who say that it is like a big issue for like mail voting, like mail voting.
Mm-hmm.
Only times, like very, very few times has it ever happened, and the times that it has, where people were voting for fucking Trump. So like, God.
Yeah. And you know what's funny is 45's campaign has been very much on this, putting out all this information about how voting by mail will lead to large-scale fraud. Guess who tried to register in Florida to vote with an address in Washington, D.C.?
Trump.
Trump.
100%.
I wish I could say I was surprised.
Right?
It's all projection. It's all projection. That's like, this is why a lot of the time you have the most anti-gay people, anti-trans people coming out like a few years down the line after then just, you know, railing on, you know, the fact that, you know, queer lives, the queer experience is less than, right? And they come out that they were also railing dudes. Like, a lot of the times that it's all projection here. And it's funny to see that it's the same thing in the White House with Trump.
Well, and look at what happened in Georgia last week. They had their primary, and it was fucking absolute chaos. You know, like they tried to install new machines, did not train people properly, did not have enough people working at the ballot boxes, and people waited for hours before the polls even opened. And then the Secretary of State, whose job it is to run the election, basically said, it's not my fault. But he's the one who spent untold millions of dollars on these new machines and these new processes, and then didn't do anything to train the people who would actually be using them. If you don't understand that these things are not, that these things are calculated, then like, all you have to do is look and see the history of these things that are happening. It's about taking away people's rights, and we cannot let that happen. My
favorite quote that I've seen out there recently is, you're going to choose to be on the wrong side of history while it's repeating itself. This is an open notes test, and you're failing.
I haven't seen that one, but I like it. I like that a lot. A piece of news that just came out, actually just as we've been on the air here, Trump has announced that he will sign an executive order tomorrow dealing with police misconduct. This is NBC News. Amid increased pressure after the death of George Floyd, President Trump announced he will sign an executive order Tuesday on police reform. The package would create a database to track police officers with multiple instances of misconduct and include language encouraging, love that word, encouraging police departments to involve mental health professionals when dealing with issues of homelessness, mental illness, and addiction, according to a senior administration official to reporters. The order would also use federal grants to incentivize departments to meet certain certification standards on the use of force.
That's trash. Because that's not what, it's the fucking cure, right? And so that's like, that's helping fix the symptoms, right?
Yeah.
But what's fucking causing it is what people are protesting. And I fucking hope right now that people see this for what it exactly is trying to call these like, you know, the protests, like, to slow them down is exactly what this is for, because this is just like empty words encouraging. It's gonna encourage it to happen. Yeah, fucking right.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of these fucking like police unions talk about anything? They're coming out as like absolute assholes and be like, it's all your fault that this guy died. What? No.
My favorite part was seeing the head of one police union say that they were against a particular reform that was passed as a law by a city council. I forget where this was exactly. But it was passed as a law that if an officer draws their weapon for any reason, they have to make a written report about it. Whether the weapon was used or not is not the issue. The fact that they took it out of their holster, they have to write a report. And this union head came out and said, our police officers don't want to do more paperwork.
Then don't fucking pull your gun out.
That's a quote. I'm sorry, but if you if you are given a gun that's paid for by my tax dollars, I have the right to understand how you are using that weapon.
Right.
I know how we can get rid of all the bullshit that's happening with the police. Replace all cops with retail workers, because they know how to deal with like really intense situations where their lives are getting threatened without killing people.
This is true. I remember, a million years ago, I worked in a pawn shop, and in addition to doing pawn loans, we had to do payday loans. And I've seen some of the worst of humanity when I wouldn't give them the money that they wanted for their stereo, or when I told them they couldn't do another payday loan till they took their old one out. And, people would end up getting in this cycle where they basically were only paying interest on their loans and getting further and further into debt. And, I haven't worked a lot of big box retail. I worked at Target for 3 months in high school, but that was it. But what I saw at the pawn shop, still gives me nightmares and just makes me so sad, because institutions like that, and this is my mini rant against pawn shops, institutions like that take advantage of desperate people. Because they're the only type of credit that a lot of people, particularly poor people and particularly people of color who are coming in to get loans, the pawn shop, the payday loan place is their only source to get that. So they have to take whatever it is they can get, even if it's not what they need. And then they are expected to pay hundreds of % of interest to try to pay off those loans. It's a vicious cycle that just takes advantage of people and, finds you guilty for the crime of being poor.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And the whole defunding the police conversation, I think, is an important one. Part of the problem, though, at least in my view, is the fact that when they say defund the police, a lot of people think, oh, well, that just means that, it's just going to be anarchy. I've had 2 different people say to me, so it's going to be like the Purge. I'm like, no. That's unfortunately, that's what happens when you take an incredibly complex idea and try to get it down to a soundbite that people use on TV. Because when they say defund the police or abolish the police or disband the police, they're not talking about eliminating law enforcement entirely. They're talking about taking a large, potentially majority amount of the money that's put into police districts and reinvesting that in community programs, social workers, crisis counselors, rape counselors, doing all of these social services that cops are expected right now to handle but aren't actually trained for and aren't good at. So it's about taking that money and reinvesting it in those programs. And then, for example, in Minneapolis, where they have said they are going to abolish the police department, that doesn't mean it's going to become a lawless kingdom. It's not going to turn into, Thunderdome or anything.
Why not?
I mean,
why not? Okay.
With what's happened, it kind of deserves it. But
I think we need a Purge Day. Just one. Not like an annual one. I just think one day where we can just, when we say fuck the police, we fuck the police.
I'm willing to entertain this theory, Charles, but I want you to show your work. I want you to explain why that's a good idea.
So I think okay. First off, I need to say this without a doubt. This is Charles. This is joke Charles. There is serious Charles, and then there's joke Charles.
This is Charles.
Out in the world, so that 10 years down the road, when somebody clips this and says, Charles Kelly said that we should have a purge day, and he was being serious about it. I am 100% being serious about it. This is serious Charles right here. Joke Charles is here right now. But no, think about it, right? A lot of the issues that we have are with corrupt politicians, corrupt government officials in general, police officers who are abusing the system, and just people in general who are abusing the system that we have in place here, right? One day of uprooting that, police, you can't do anything, right? And then, we just purge. We just purge a little bit. Just get corrupt government officials. Bye. Goodbye. I'm not saying we kill them, but what I am saying is they're gone. They're gone. It's a purge. What happened? Who knows?
Well, maybe instead of killing them, you just okay, this is kind of unrelated. It just popped in my head. But if there was a real purge, I think the only thing I would do is file my taxes.
Wait, what?
If all crime is legal, you bet your ass I'm about to push the shit out of that. Taxes filed, they can't do shit. I'm gonna get a fucking fat ass return. Everything's gonna be solid.
I like it. What
you were saying earlier about the cops, and it's everyone I've met, basically, even in the South, where it's we believe in law enforcement. Sometimes depends on which part of the South. I know a lot of people from Texas just went, huh? But
and it also depends on how white you are and how much money you have.
But and how rich you are. But I forgot what the exact number is, but everyone I've met, as well as polls and statistics, show that women who are victims of sexual abuse, people who have mental disabilities, and all kinds of other shit, are terrified of the police coming. They are more scared of calling the police than they usually are of the abusive situation they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the time, if you talk to abuse victims and stuff, they will say that they don't report to the police because they think that their abuser is going to get nothing more than a slap on the wrist. Or most of the time, it's usually what were you wearing? What were you drinking? Even though she's 14 when she's making this report, you know?
Yeah, one of the arguments I saw on Facebook was saying, well, if there are no police, then who's gonna handle the rape cases? They're fucking doing it now. Feel free to start anytime. The vast majority of rapes don't go to conviction, much less trial.
They don't even get tested a lot of the times.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen a lot of the times. There's a huge backlog in rape kits because they're overwhelmed. It's not, the police aren't designed for this at all because all the money has been funded into fucking tanks. How can you solve a crime? A normal, there was a bank robbery down the road. Do you solve that with a tank? Is that
No.
how you solve that crime?
And I don't understand. I have seen no instance whatsoever where a metro city or municipality police department solved or stopped any crime from happening because they had military weapons. That just doesn't happen. It also doesn't deter crime.
It doesn't.
It's just a waste. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of taxpayer money. It's a waste of resources. In the chat, Robin said, "Go for the Cheeto," and I think she was talking about during the Purge. However, I will say, as much as I personally am not a fan of 45, he's a problem, but he's not the problem. He, as much as anything, is a product of the system. Politics is kind of inherently corrupt. And, you know, we know through FBI investigations, the Mueller report, and all kinds of other things that are verifiable facts, by the way, not that hard to find them, that part of the reason he was elected was because it benefited the Russian government. It also benefited conservatives because he generally believes a lot of the things that they believe, and he's easily swayed by people getting in his ear rather than by facts. So you combine a a relatively non-intelligent person with a Russian propaganda machine that helps get him elected. And as much as awful as a human being as he is, and he is, he's not the problem. Defeating him in November is not magically going to fix anything.
Yeah, attacking the executive government isn't going to do shit about the legislative.
Yeah, I mean, there are corrupt systems at play here that have been that way for as long as they've existed.
Right.
And part of what we're seeing with this social upheaval and the protest and everything else is a visible understanding and a communal understanding that the system we have does not work if you're not rich and you're not white. Because the system that we have now is great if you fit into both of those categories. But if you don't, go fuck yourself. That's kind of where we're at.
Well, yeah. And I think what is kind of positive and negative about number 45 is that he became like the face. He became the face of the problem. But the thing about when you give something a face, you make it more real. So more people are starting to notice that these are ways actual people think. And people actually exist like this. They actually hold these beliefs. They make fun of disabled people in a fucking rally. They rape children. They allegedly they make executive orders, openly racist statements, still hold positions of power. So by putting him in a position of power where regular American people are paying attention to the only part of the government that
benefits them,
does, you are making them pay attention to the other shitty parts of the government as well.
Yeah.
What got him there? Why is he able to be in that office? Well, because he's not alone.
Right. Here's kind of where I sit, and this is coming from a straight white man, or not straight.
Straight passing.
God damn it, I'm doing it now too.
You're straight passing.
Straight passing, like, dude, is that this is, in the end, kind of a good thing. And the reason for that is it's pulling a lot too ahead, right? If Hillary was elected, right, all of these racist things would still be where they are. Mm-hmm. We would still be heading towards this direction, but slower, right? So because of Trump and because there's been a huge rally behind him, there's been a lot of positive change happening where people are protesting. This would not have happened under Hillary. And honestly, we would probably have seen a lot of the same shit happen, and it would have flown by for years.
I mean, it's important to remember that two of the more significant black men that were killed and that were protested under Black Lives Matter happened under the Obama administration.
Yeah. Exactly.
45 didn't create this. He's merely exploiting it.
Right. And exactly. And look at Democrats are 100% at fault for a lot of the shit that has happened in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. Bill Clinton and Joe Biden very specifically voted for the laws in '93 that allowed a lot of the shit that's going on right now with allowing police brutality and a lot of like letting police get away with stuff happened in '93.
Yep.
So it was those choices that happened under a Democratic president, which is why you see a lot of Republicans going right now like, but look at the Democrats. Democrats are not the exact same. Yes, 100%, 100%. And it's like, yes, it's a systematic issue, it's a systemic issue, right? So it's
a product of the system. And yeah, in '93, I mean, shit. Rodney King was assaulted on camera by 4 police officers in 1992. Those officers were tried and acquitted, and LA basically burned down. Mm-hmm. So if you're the sort of person who tries to make the argument that like, well, they didn't have the protests back then, they did. Los Angeles, large chunks of Los Angeles were burned to the ground. And the same stuff that happened then is happening now because this problem has not been solved.
So I made that point earlier, not in this conversation, but about how I'm grateful that these protests haven't stopped. And a friend of mine brought up the fact that social media is the best thing to happen to minorities in America. Well, minorities, period. Because did you read or at least hear the police report that was going to be released about what happened with George Floyd?
I saw the article, but I haven't read that one yet.
It's garbage. It was dismissed as necessary, basically, in the report. They went on a bunch of different ways explaining how, it was just a basic situation, such a tragedy. But if there weren't people there recording the video, that would have been what everyone believed would have happened.
Yep.
If there wasn't that proof being circulated so quick, that wouldn't have happened. If there weren't so many videos of protests remaining peaceful, people getting the word out, being like, hey, if you see this person inciting violence at a protest, that's not what we're about, throw them to the cops,
Mm-hmm. Robin brings up a good point. She says Breonna Taylor's police report is blank. Exactly. Like, this kind of shit is going to keep on happening until we do something about it. And yeah, you're right, KK. Like, thanks to social media, thanks to the way things tend to spread now, and the fact that everyone has a camera in their pocket, empowers us to watch each other's backs and to document shit when it's going wrong. Mm-hmm. And that is a good thing that we didn't have in 1992.
I would like to say that it's not social media. It's very specifically TikTok and TikTok's algorithm. 100%. The fact, like, the algorithms for Facebook, for YouTube, for Snapchat even, like, these algorithms are meant to send you information that is only within your own echo chamber, mm-hmm. right? A lot of that information, especially with Facebook, can be very misconstrued. A lot of times, when it comes to how people react to Facebook's content, right? It's all headlines. Links aren't clicked, right? And you can go through this with analytics for a lot of like Facebook stuff, mm-hmm. and like just how people react to things on Facebook. People read a headline. They don't click links on Facebook. They read a headline. They don't read the article. So those articles with the big catchy titles, right, are the ones that go to the top. And they're always misconstrued and they're always, a clickbait, because that's how people can get reactions nowadays, is those clickbait articles. Now, because of how Facebook takes in cash with boosting, same thing with Reddit now, and a lot of the bot problems with Reddit that are happening, those platforms are putting up content that isn't necessarily the most truthful. Now, TikTok, on the other hand, is awesome. And I think TikTok is brilliant because the algorithm is about what people like the most. What's the most important?
Right.
If it gets more likes, it goes up. If it gets more views, it goes up. If it gets more comments, it goes up, no matter what the content is, and it's shown to more people. So because of TikTok, a lot of this information has been spread well and precise, giving people like a good platform to do so. Twitter too. Twitter's been a very big help there, but Facebook has been a very big problem. And like last week, Zucky Boy and his wife made like an apology video saying "fuck Trump."
Yep.
When like for the last 4 years, they have been bringing in money from corrupt politicians, making money off of them, selling people incorrect information, telling people that it's not our jobs to police information.
Right.
It's only our job to take their money.
Yeah. It's not our job to realize that Russian trolls are using us to sway the election.
Right. And it was only until last week when they're being called out by everybody, even fucking Donald Trump. Even Trump right now is calling Facebook out for being trash. Are they making a change? Which they're not going to fucking do shit. They're not going to do shit.
They may not, and it's a strange thing because Facebook, especially for those of us that work in marketing, which is all three of us on this show, Facebook's a necessary evil. Hell, this show is being broadcast on Facebook right now. So it's, they need to understand and acknowledge that they have responsibilities as an organization and as a source of information. What they're doing, what they've done so far, which is nothing, is not enough. They need to start taking a stand, and it's not about political ideology. It's not about saying we don't like this politician or we do like this one. People need to get that shit out of their heads. It's about presenting information that is accurate, not fair and balanced, because fair and balanced for the sake of fair and balance is bullshit and doesn't matter. It's about presenting the truth, the facts of what's happening on, and then letting people discuss it and make their own decisions.
Right.
But you can't start off on the disingenuous premise of, we cash the checks, but, it's just kind of like, oh, whatever, fuck it. No, it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible as a platform to do that, especially a platform with the amount of global power that Facebook has.
Right.
We're coming to the end of the show. I don't want to end it on this particular conversation, so I'd like. Go for it. What you got?
Kitties.
I have to go grab them.
Well, go grab them. But yes, I want everyone to talk about something awesome in their lives or that they've seen lately that's neat and cool.
Two things for me. One is stemming from this conversation a little bit. Susan Wojcicki, who's the CEO of YouTube, had a really awesome in-depth interview with Hank Green on Hank's personal channel. I highly recommend it. I'll probably post it in the chat here in a little bit. It's really, really good. Really good insight into how YouTube is thinking about their place in how things. Can you give me a Mountain Dew, please? I would like a Mountain Dew.
I'll go second.
Can you give me one can of Mountain Dew, please? I would prefer it.
I had Baja Blast yesterday from a bottle, and I was stoked.
Baja Blast. Oh.
Lynn didn't like it, but I was like, more for me. We have kitties.
Yes. So that was number one.
Yes. What's number two?
It's a great interview with Susan Wojcicki. She's like, it's a really candid interview with a lot of the information of how YouTube considers their role in both the positive and the negative side of the political landscape as it stands. And then on top of that, HBO's Watchmen is awesome. It is really good, and it is very, very, I think, an important watch right now. Even though it's a superhero show, it still deals with a lot of commentary on racism and police brutality in our own current landscape right now.
Yeah, for those of you who haven't seen it, Watchmen, the series Watchmen came out last year, and if you're thinking about the movie or you're thinking about the graphic novel, the series is, while technically a sequel to them, has almost nothing to do with the original source material. So if that has been keeping you from watching it, ignore that. Watchmen, if nothing else, is about family and systemic racism, and that couldn't be more important of a story to tell than right now. KK, what are your kitties' names? Dead air. Tezzerine?
Tezzeret.
Oh, okay.
Like the Magic Gathering card.
All right, right on.
Over there, that's abstract, but spelled with a K. Because cats with a K.
Because cats with a K. Hell yeah. As far as my fun thing, my good thing, that's a great question. My happy thing is actually something that I can only partially share right now, and it's the fact that this network is changing, and we've alluded to it on other platforms before, and we're not putting out all the full information yet, but this network will be undergoing a bit of a facelift. Yeah. We're not changing our methodology. We're not changing our programming. We're trying to broaden out the reach of the network, and we want something that better reflects kind of what we're becoming. So look for that very, very, very soon. Hopefully within the next 30 days or so. That's going to be really exciting.
By the end of July, we'll for sure have something.
Yes.
I'll definitely have a new tattoo. And those things are totally not related.
But they could be. You could get the logo tattooed.
Yeah, that's the game plan.
Oh, holy shit. Fuck. I ruined it.
The other thing I've had, that was my happy zone.
Oh my God, look at that.
Is that low?
No, actually, this is the result of Circus scribbling on my paper, and then I just made something out of it, and I like it a lot.
That's really cool.
It kind of looks like low.
That should be the art for your show this week, KK.
Fuck yeah.
So, folks, you have been watching and or listening to NoCo Live, NoCo FM's weekly-ish television, internet, video, audio thing with Charles and KevCat and myself. We try to do this every week. 2 weeks ago we did kind of a special, and we got a lot of good response to that. I think we'll be doing more of those types of conversations, so look for those in the future. But we do this Monday nights at 9 p.m. Mountain Time, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, and Periscope. So Robin says, love you all. We love you, Robin. Thanks so much for tuning in. And thanks to all of you for tuning in to the show. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, we have lots of other fun shows that we are doing to tell you about. Let's start with Charles.
Talk and Roll has the end of its Law and Order arc this weekend, which I'm super excited for. It's really good. And then next weekend we have the beginning of a new arc for Rolling Misadventures, which host of the show Derrick is not taking part of at all, and I let KevCat listen to it, and
he loves it. It's great.
That's cool. I'm excited. Yeah, Talk and Roll and Rolling Misadventures airs. Both shows air Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Eastern on NoCo FM at noco.fm and on our mobile app. If you're not near a computer, we've got you covered. Install the free NoCo FM app on your mobile device, or if you have one of those fancy Amazon, Google smart speaker surveillance systems, then just say, listen to NoCo FM, and it'll start playing. So wherever you are, we've got you covered. KevCat, what's your show?
my show is NoCo Gadio, the gay show with your gay host where I only play queer artists. This month it's only Black queer artists, and you can find me on that. 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, Friday nights, wherever you get your podcast, Saturday mornings. Be there or be straight, which is terrifying.
And Charles has new LED lights, which are wonderful. I also have a show now, which I'm bad at promoting. It's called Ducky's Funhouse. It's 2-ish hours of tunes and conversation with yours truly. Some new stuff, some old stuff. Some stuff I guarantee you no other radio station is crazy enough to play. So check that out. Fridays at 1 p.m. Mountain, 3 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays wherever you get your podcasts. For Charles, for KevCat, this is Chris. Thank you so much again for watching. We will see you next week or so, hopefully next week. But thanks again for watching and enjoying and commenting and liking and sharing and all of those things. We have a Patreon too. I'll talk about that some other time. Have a wonderful night, everyone.
Y'all motherfuckers need to donate to our Patreon.
Patreon.com/NoCoFM. We are working on some really cool new perks for people. So look for those to come down the pike and coincide with our rebrand.
I've done some sketches of new merch ideas. I'm really excited.
Cool.
Very, very excited. I'll send some stuff to you guys in the next 2 days. I have to focus on this goddamn music video first.
All right. Yeah, and Charles is working like a crazy man on music videos and all kinds of other stuff. So we'll be talking about those when they're ready. In the meantime, thanks for watching NoCo Live. Have a wonderful evening. Have a wonderful week. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. We'll see you when we see you.